jacks or devices. And the thing on the bottom right's a terminator. That doesn't really save you anything. So you'll see, let me show you just that there, right there on the left. It says 11.5 dB. Where does it say? There it says it. That's how much signal loss that we get, best case scenario, right? If the connections are good and you're feeding it here and you come out of one of these, you're losing 11.5 dB, which means there's signal degradation. Here's another one. So that's what was in there. Now, if you had a Comcast circuit, I actually had a Comcast circuit, I don't know, in 2008-ish or something, different house. You couldn't do something like this because the cable coming in, that one, it's losing the signal strength already. That fiber does not. So like the signal that's coming, that runs to here is solid, right? The signal by the time it gets to this for Comcast from the street is not. So what you would need is an amplifier, which is something like this, fatter, right? And it plugs into electricity, which could cause, usually doesn't, as long as Comcast has figured out pretty much like where to put their amplifiers, because if they don't space them out properly, you're going to get all sorts of noise and weird things going on with your video, but they got that all figured out. So if you're splitting a bunch of stuff with them, you probably have an amplifier. Probably. I don't know these days what they're doing, but they're still using DOCSIS cable modems and stuff. This splitter splits into what, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it goes in the bottom center, and then out, and then you can feed 4 other places. And you can see this one says Mocha 2.0. That's what was used before. And now this one, you can see it says next to each terminal that's output 7.5, right? So you're losing 7.5 dB. So like if you have the wire coming in and only 2 or 3 connected, change your splitter, because you can increase your signal strength, right? You won't lose 7.5 dB if you're going to 3 instead of 4. Same with 6 instead of 4. This one here is a little different. These aren't as common. So this is 1 coming in and 3 going out. However, the one on the bottom left, you'll see, hopefully you can see it. It says minus 3.7 dB. And then the other two, minus 7.3. So this is a little unique. Like if you're, say, the line comes in here and you want to feed something without as much signal degradation, a router or something, you would, Mocha connection like a router, you would use this side, and then you could use these two for the TVs or something like that. So these numbers are a little higher than a 3-way splitter because it's putting more resources into this connection, right? The one on the left. And you can see that says Mocha 2.5. This one, this is a 3-way. This one is also Mocha 2.5, even though it doesn't say it. You can see it says 5 to 2300 megahertz right in the center there. The 2.0s were like up to 1675 megahertz. Now you can see this one, the signal loss is 5.5, right? 1 in, 3 out. So you remember that 3-way, it was 7.3 and 3.7. So you could, if you wanted to have a more even distribution, you could go to this one, which would be 5.5. Now the 2-way, like I have one of these, that's 1 in and 2 out, and that's like 3.5 or something like that. So you don't want to you want to have like you want to reduce the size of your splitter to just what you need, right? Now I'm not saying unplug rooms that you're not using, but just if you got all your rooms plugged in, then and you have like an extra thing open, try to reduce that size. So what we got going on here, and what I did before when I was using the Verizon TV or even Comcast, it was coming out of here, and I fed this. Actually, it still is coming out of here. I fed this to the splitter. And I didn't want to go to like a 4-way or a 5-way or that 6-way that I just showed you, because I didn't want as much signal degradation to this wire. This goes to that shelving in the back, right down there. So when I had a router when I was using a Verizon router that needed that Mocha connection connected and the Ethernet, I had didn't want as much signal degradation, so I'm down to like 3.7-ish or something. Splitting it, running out to there, and the other thing was the set-top box for the family room was down there. So that's why I used the 2-way first, and then I plugged that short one into here, right? And I was messing around, doing something recently, so I have my second floor master on it right now, but it's not being used. So let me try not to trip over this stuff here. Where are we at? That's a minus 3.7, right? Mocha 2.5. And I wanted Mocha 2.5 because at the time it was going to the Verizon router. So I wanted to improve the communication between my two set-top boxes, right? So the Mocha connection goes from here, it went down to there, to the router, and to the set-top box. And back here, it was going up to the master bedroom. So I was communicating, I could communicate with multi-room DVR from the set-top box there to the set-top box in the master bedroom. So I could record on one and watch on the other. So like, I don't know if I said it, but with Mocha 2.0, the TVs, there's really no issues if you have 2.0. If you're doing multi-room DVR, that's where you might see some hiccups, where you get pauses and skips and stuff like that. And then the other stuff, this just goes to different rooms, right? That was something else I was messing around with, I'm not using, to the rack. And then 3 go to the second floor, 2 bedrooms and the master bedroom. Where's it at? There's my finger, right? And that was it. I think that was it. Yeah. So I tried not to. So the master bedroom would have been here. So you see, I didn't have anything open, right? So this one, it's down to minus 7.3. It's Mocha 2.5, and the signal loss is minus 7.3. But you see, it says 1675. So I'm not believing that Mocha 2.5 stamp up at the top. It could be, not should, it could be up to 2300, but so I'm not sure what's the deal with that. And that's the deal with that. I guess that's all TV stuff there. Oh, okay, let me show you something else. So what I did was I eventually, after like, let me see, I got the Verizon router in like early 2017, and then by 2025, early 2025, I added up all my rental fees, and it was over $1,000, right? What was it, $10 a month or something? So I paid $1,000 for that router. So, and I decided I'm not going to use it. So what do you need to do? You can't just switch over to a different router and call Verizon and say, hey, I'm switching my router. Can you connect it to this MAC address or whatever? Why? Because of the Mocha connection. The Mocha would not work, because with a router, you're just plugging this in, right? That's good for data, but for the TV, we need this. So I did get I used my own router, and I used this, but I got this to replace the router. It's called a Screen Beam. I think that's the manufacturer's name. And I only needed one, which I didn't know at the time, so I kind of wasted my money on that. But, well, I won't show you all the setup and stuff. Basically, though, you need to put a filter on first. Getting too old for this. This is a Mocha filter. I plugged that into here. Where am I at? Plug this filter into there, and then I plugged the wire coming out into this, right? You have to have the Mocha filter for it to work. And then the other end of the connection coming out of here, right? Run them out to the back. What gets plugged into here? See, it says coax in. And then I would plug Ethernet, where are we at? Ethernet, over to the router, right? And there's a reset button and there's a power, cat power cable. Wait a second, where are we at? Right over there is the power. I'm not sure what MPS does, I forget. So you can stop using the Verizon router, but you want to have that Mocha thing. Oh, and I can tell you the model number. I think it's on here. UCB 7250 kit. That actually might be for the 2. You really only need the 1. Okay, so that's the deal with a telephone, video, TV, and internet. Can't think of anything else. Backup power, I guess we got it all. And yeah, again, don't take my word for it. I'm not a professional. So if Verizon or Comcast comes, they tell you something else, just listen to them. Obviously, I have no idea what I'm talking about.